Hey guys, let's go over the most modern upgrades for your Gbody for 2025. Is a really cool upgrade is for the wagons and the four-door Gbodies, especially for like the Malibus. You know how a lot of these Gbodies, they just have that vent window for the rear. Doesn't work very well in the summertime. You're going to need Volkswagen lift channels. You're going to need short GM window cranks. And then you're going to also need guts from a 1986 Celebrity wagon. So you're going to need a lot of the door guts and stuff for that. And you use your factory Gbody window and that'll work. Now the next upgrade that I found that was pretty interesting for the Gbodies mostly worked for the Grand National or the Regal T-Type guys that had the PowerMaster. So like a lot of guys do, they take your PowerMaster system off and you put a additional brake booster and master cylinder on it in its place. So since you do that traditional system, I mean that works, but the recommendation I recommend, it's pretty simple and you use your factory plugs from the PowerMaster is a Tesla brake system. So you use a Tesla master cylinder and you also use the Tesla electric brake system. Now the cool thing about that is because of using that, if the electric mechanism ever fails, it's going to stop like a regular brake booster system. You'll still have brakes, you can get to wherever you need to in that situation. Versus the PowerMaster, when it fails, you have no brakes, you're pushing the pedal as hard as you can, nothing's going to happen. Now, from some of my past videos, I've talked about the S10 Blazer spindles as being a great upgrade for modernizing your brake system for a Gbody. Now that does work and it is a budget-friendly option. There are some better upgrades that is the C5 Gbody spindles. Now you don't need adapters like the S10 Blazer spindles do. All you do is put your C5 caliper 13-inch rotor on from a C5 Corvette, put it on your Gbody, it bolts up just like normal, no adapters, no grinding, no modifications needed, and it gives you the opportunity to upgrade to C6 or C7 brakes, or even the newest and latest greatest stuff would be the Camaro stuff from the 5th and 6th gen Camaro stuff too. You can upgrade to that too without having to run adapters. So that is a cool feature. It is kind of pricey for about $400 from what I've seen online, but if you're planning to go the biggest brake systems on a Gbody already, it's nothing that's not going to bother you. It also, the C5 spindles on a Gbody also are a better option because they have a better hub assembly. So that's another key thing to think about when you're doing that upgrade. Now for the guys that like to add luxury items to your Gbody to kind of show off that you have stuff that's never been done or an oddball thing, you need to look for 2021 and up Cadillac Escalades just started doing soft closed doors. And it is a cool feature because you can add that to your Gbody. You can get it from your local GM or Chevy dealership, or you can find them used from a junkyard if you're lucky enough to find that. $2025 and a lot of parts have been readily available at junkyards nowadays. One that I like to go to as the second best option in transmissions is the 4L80. Now for me personally, because I'm an old school Gbody guy, I prefer the old 700s or the 200 R4s That's the ones that I prefer because they're simple. They're not cheap anymore, but they were cheap, and they're not complicated when it comes to cars that are carbureted or stuff like that. But the next one that does work and can handle a lot more horsepower on a lower budget is the 4L80. So if you guys are having bad luck at a junkyard nowadays, go get a 4L80 from a mid-90s pickup truck and up. You're going to need a custom controller. You are going to need a new crossmember. That's automatic. Depending on if you're the 84 and newer, you're just going to need the crossmember. If you're 83 and older, you're going to need the extended brace that goes underneath the driver's side. If you're doing a carbureted setup, you are going to need to add a map sensor to the side of your carburetor to make it work. Because of that, it'll work with the computer system. It's just one of those things you have to add on. It's pretty simple, especially if you have a Holley/quick fuel /ATM style carburetor. If you have an Elderbrock, I feel sorry for you. It's going to cost you a lot more money. Switch to a Holley, you're going to save a bunch more. And then obviously you're going to need a drive shaft. Depending on what rear end your setup you're going to need, you may need to get it shortened or lengthened. So depending if you're doing you still have an 8.5 from like a Grand National or Cutlass, or if you have a 7.5, or you've upgraded to like the Ford 9-inch, which is the preferred option. Now the last thing we're going to cover would be drive shafts, ones that are pretty close to being direct fit or don't really have to cut much off, and it'll give you a thicker drive shaft for your performance-based Gbody. Is aluminum drive shafts from a 2000 to 2009 GMC Envoy. It has to be the two-wheel drive one, so remember that, two-wheel drive, and you have to measure it. Most of the Gbodies are going to need about a 55 to 56-inch long drive shaft, and these are pretty much direct bolt-on. And the good thing about them is they have a 1350 U-joint, so they are going to be a bigger U-joint, and they're going to be a 3.5 to 4-inch drive shaft, so that also is a good thing for higher horsepower. Also, the other one I like to find at a junkyard, it may need to be cut down based on what rear end you use, is the 99 to 2000 Crown Vic police car. It has to be a police car. It can't be any other option. There are going to be markings on the drive shaft itself, and they're going to say MMX. So it'll say metal matrix, and that's the one that's going to be a blend. It's not going to be aluminum, but it's going to be a blend of materials. It's going to be stronger than aluminum. If you're wanting a cheap Ford drive shaft, those are the two that I prefer from a junkyard. If you can find them, it'll save you a whole bunch of money instead of spending a whole bunch of money at a driveline specialist place that are going to charge you hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on what combo you're trying to do. This would cost you under $100. So I hope that list was informative and helps you get your project closer to being finished, or it gives you new ideas to change what you're thinking of and adjust them to maybe a better solution. If that did, I hope this helped, and we'll see you on the next one.